What's up everyone, it's Victon, and today is a big day for Path of Exile fans. We're going to get the first look at the new expansion and league that launches on January 15th. I personally am super excited for this one, so I'm really looking forward to this announcement and learning as much as I can from it. Earlier today, GGG had a live stream on Twitch that hopefully you guys were able to participate in and get those juicy free MTX wings. I sadly missed it happening live, but I figured I'd go ahead and watch it now and get a reaction as I see it for the first time, so you guys can get my thoughts on it, and we're going to be able to pause the video as well so we can kind of analyze some things as it's happening. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it.
Beware what you ask, nomad. Curiosity is a charming trait until it is not. Curiosity. Information will be volunteered, not coerced. It will create more questions than it answers. When at last their shadow is cast upon the firmament, it will take more than you can possess to bind and
love the voice
silence
acting.
the screams within your mind.
As you guys know, I like doing all those voice acting lines in the beginning of my videos, so I'm hoping they do some really good voice acting in this one. It's already sounding pretty good.
Hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. Thank you so much for joining us today as we unveil Path of Exile's 3.13 expansion. This release contains everything you've come to expect from a Path of Exile expansion release. A new challenge league, new skills, new items, metagame rebalances, and an endgame content update which will leave a lasting impact on Path of Exile.
That's what we want. We want that endgame.
Work over the last few months, and we've got a lot up our sleeves to share with you today. But before we jump in, we wanted to mention that Twitch drops are
Yo, that was a sick t-shirt, dudes. Hold
lasting
up.
impact on Path
Hold
of Exile.
up.
Our team have been very
Yo, that t-shirt is sick, dude. Alright, it has nothing to do with this video. Let's get back on the video.
Sleeves to share with you today. But before we jump in, we wanted to mention that Twitch drops are enabled for the duration of this live stream.
That's what I was talking about with the wings.
Stream, you'll find the
hopefully you guys were able to get those.
Path of Exile account to Twitch so that you're eligible to receive drops. 2020 was certainly a difficult year for development, but it was also one that saw a lot of big things happen with Path of Exile. In late 2019, we held our first ExileCon convention, where we announced several projects, including Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile Mobile.
Path of
Throughout
Exile
2020,
Mobile, dude.
we developed 4 major expansions: Delirium, Harvest, and Heist, as well as the one we're going to unveil today. We launched on the Epic Games Store and released our
Epic
Vulkan
Games
renderer
Store?
and a
What?
macOS client for Path
I
of
didn't know
Exile.
that.
We're really proud of what we achieved last
Feel like
year
that's
under
kinda
difficult
random.
conditions, and can't wait to continue the journey with you through 2021, where we expect to reveal much more about Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile Mobile, as well as 4 releases for Path of Exile, including the one you're about to see. Thanks
we go.
again for being here with us.
Here we
it
go,
wouldn't be
dudes.
possible without you. In today's live stream, we'll kick things off with a 3.13 announcement trailer, then take a deep dive into exploring the new expansion's content and features.
Yo, that's what we want right there.
Once the reveals are wrapped up, we'll launch into a live Q&A where community streamer Ziggy D will ask me questions from Twitch
So we probably
chat.
won't do
So be
that,
sure to get
dudes.
your
We'll
questions
probably,
ready.
let's do the
Once
in-game
Q&A is
content
over, we'll
update.
jump
We'll
into
check
an
out the new
episode of
challenge
Plus
league.
podcast, where Taki
We'll do all this, but
Cashman
we'll
from
probably,
Path of Exile veterans
this is
will
a
discuss
very
today's
long video,
reveals.
so I'm going to probably keep this around
I'm
30
sure
minutes, so
you're
we'll
keen for
stop
the
at the
stop
Q&A.
and start revealing the new content, so
If you
let's
guys
jump
are
right into
interested,
the
this is
3.13
on
trailer. See you
Twitch's
on the other
website. I'm sure it's going to be up on their YouTube as well. So check that out if you do want to see the Q&A with Ziggy D, the Bay Class podcast. But for me, I think we'll just do these first 4 here, and that will be a pretty long video in itself. So let's get into it. Ooh, a little loud. Sorry about that.
What drives you, Exile? Is it justice? Revenge? Honor?
That's what I mean with the voice lines.
It is power.
I love it. Oh my god. Yo, chat, Flame Blast.
We felt your deeds.
Haven't played Flame Blast since 2015.
Felt their shockwaves ripple through the void. You have our attention. Now you must keep it. Your limits will be tested. Break them, Do what is thought impossible, and the Atlas will follow.
I'm seeing like lots of bosses here. A brutal showdown. Oh, that's sick. What? 11 new maps? Okay. New skills. Reworked Ascendancies. Yeah, we gotta, I feel like we gotta hold up, dudes. I gotta start pausing.
And the Atlas will follow.
So I was seeing lots of bosses, like a lot of the act bosses right there. Saw Malachi, I saw Katava, I saw the Scorpion dude. I wonder if this is like an arena type thing. That's sick. I'm super hyped to see what that is. I saw Elementalist dudes. This is gonna be tricky to just pause. I gotta be a pro pauser, dudes.
Will be tested. Break them.
Professional pause button pusher.
And the Atlas
Can we get there?
will follow.
Round 3. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Click. Oh no, yo! So look at this. This is completely different. So I wonder how this is gonna affect golems, eh? So triggers 1 primal Aegis, allocated other Aegis disabled, cannot take reflected damage. Interesting. Okay. So I wonder if this is gonna mess with golems. This looks very different. Okay. Okay. Harvest. So a harvest is going core, heist is going core. Ritual League. Dark and gloomy. Looks like a sick boss fight right there.
The stars themselves will bear silence.
Yeah, see, that was a boss right there. See, that's the Dominus boss.
How far would you bend?
It's gotta be like an arena type situation. Whoa, dude. So this is the actual expansion, Echoes of the Atlas. Next Friday.
That's
Lots
one
of
my
stuff,
favorite
lots of
Path
stuff.
trailers. We've released, what, like 35 trailers so far over the last decade, and I still get shivers watching each new one.
Same,
Props to our video guy Evan for great work as usual.
same.
So there's a lot to cover based on what we've just seen. Let's get right into it.
Yes, please.
In 2016, we introduced the Atlas of Worlds, a formal progression system for Path of Exile's endgame maps that culminated in a pinnacle boss fight against the Shaper. Since then, the War for the Atlas and Conquest of the Atlas expansions have expanded the Atlas system, introduced new endgame bosses, broadened mechanics, added new rewards, and provided more opportunity for mastery of Path of Exile's endgame. The Echoes of the Atlas expansion introduces a new pinnacle
this looks
boss,
sick right there.
a new way to fight many map bosses at the same time.
Yeah, see, I
11
told
new
you.
maps to
That's what I
explore,
thought.
and new endgame rewards to earn. Just a few map tiers into Echoes of the Atlas, you will begin to encounter an NPC called the Envoy. It seems that when the Elder was sealed, its absence didn't go unnoticed.
Oh, he looks sick.
The Envoy speaks ominously of new visitors to the Atlas. The first such visitor, and the focus of this endgame expansion, is an entity called the Maven.
Yo, chat, can we get a floating MTX? Can I float like this? Give me that MTX, I'll buy it.
You'll first encounter the Maven in the boss arena of a map, where she will make the boss encounter more difficult and watch as you do your best to defeat it. If you're successful, she'll give you her...
What are we saying? Call the Maven to witness and affect this map boss encounter. Defeating this boss encounter will allow Maven to replicate the fight. Ah, okay, so you like capture them, kind of in a sense, and now you can do it in their own realm. Okay. Yeah, the maps looks different too. I'm not seeing anything crazy over here. Differences though.
beacon, which lets you call her to any map in that region so she can watch more fights.
It's based off the region. Okay.
After showing her your boss-killing prowess, she will give you an invitation to her own realm, where she has prepared a special challenge.
Uh-oh.
The Maven really
Defeat the
wants
wiener.
to push you to your limits and has fabricated copies of the bosses she watched you defeat. This time, however, you'll have to defeat them simultaneously. If you manage to best her challenge, she'll politely ask you to do the whole cycle again, except this time she wants to watch more and tougher fights, and her next challenge will contain 4 bosses,
Lasers.
then 5, then 6, and finally 10.
10, dude. I hope they're not like dumbed down fights, you know what I mean?
You may even get to fight the Maven herself, in a very difficult boss encounter designed to challenge the strongest and best Path of Exile players. Completing the Maven's challenges offers the opportunity to acquire some very powerful new rewards, including Atlas passive skill points, craftable Watchstones, and even the Maven's Orb.
The Maven's Orb. I hope that thing is not like... Sometimes they do that, right? And obviously you kind of have to do it, but... You know, reduce their damage so much or only do 1 or 2 abilities and it's like not that impactful. Like, personally, I think that would be super cool if it's like the full boss fight of some of those guys and it's just like madness. That would be sick to me.
As you complete the Maven's challenges, you'll earn a new type of passive skill point that can be allocated on a special passive skill tree in that region of the Atlas of Worlds. Each of the Atlas's regions has its own passive tree, and they generally have around 20 nodes to choose from. You can earn up to a total of 10 skill points per Atlas region.
Looks like he was clicking harvest stuff right there.
Let's check out some of the Atlas passive choices in the Glennick Cairns region.
Yes, please.
This branch allows you to focus on Beyond, increasing the amount of experience granted by Beyond monsters, but also allowing you to spawn more Beyond monsters really easily. The Torn Veil notable will drastically increase the quantity of Beyond demons you can encounter.
That Torn Veil was
insane. The notable
insane.
passive which increases the amount of time you have to break enemies out, and makes it easier to break them out. It's an example of a skill that you could invest into while you're weak, and then remove it later once you're more powerful. And yes, as I implied here, there is an orb that lets you refund Atlas passives. The Incursion branch allows you to more easily get higher tier rooms in the Temple of Atsuatl, and helps you make a definitive decision on whether to swap specific.
So it sounds like you're being able to socket passive points and kind of focus on maybe some of the past leagues. Or expansion type stuff like Harvest, like Legion, like Beyond, and you can maybe specialize in those. I wonder if you're going to get enough to do like multiple trees, probably, I would assume, right?
Specific rooms. On the Ambush branch, the tamper-proof notable passive upgrades all strongboxes to be rare and corrupted. This synergizes incredible.
Rare and corrupted, so that's going to be really good for getting early 6 sockets and 6 links. FYI. That one's pretty cool. Maybe an early one, early league. That would be a good one.
Incredibly well with the Ambush Zana mod or prophecies like Monstrous Treasure.
Yeah.
While it prevents you from re-rolling valuable types of strongboxes, the sheer number of corrupted 6-socket and 6-link items will certainly be tempting.
Especially early league.
Now let's have a look at the Atlas passive choices available in the Lex Proxima region. The Harvest branch can increase your chances of finding a sacred grove, increase its crafting rewards, and make it more likely that you'll encounter a Shabi. We'll explain later in the presentation about how Harvest is being integrated into the core game in this expansion. The Torment branch can increase item drops from possessed and touched monsters, as well as populating the area with some already possessed monsters. These synergize quite well with the Sextants that guarantee a certain amount of rewards from
monsters are possessed. That's pretty sick.
The Delve branch can increase your Sulfite gains, grant more Master Favor, and grant more Nico Master missions. The Sulfite Infusion notable passive grants Sulfite for defeating map bosses, regardless of whether the area has Nico present. This means that you'll be constantly gaining Sulfite for every map you do in a region, which is a great strategy if you're not already using Sulfite Scarabs aggressively.
Which are hella expensive, by the way.
Increase your chances of encountering a breach and ramp up the difficulty and rewards of your breaches. Naturally, new endgame content means new endgame rewards.
So that was interesting though. So you do get to spec into it, but it looks like it's locked per region, right? So like the Lex Proxima region had a certain like 2 or 3 different league type mechanics. And then the other ones like the Cairns, however you say that, it looks like it has different ones. And I wonder if you can do Harvest on like multiple ones. It didn't look like it. It looks like Harvest is only for one region. Beyond, all etc.
Watchstones are an endgame item that can be placed in the Atlas of Worlds to upgrade a region's map tiers and add new base maps to that region. There are two types of existing Watchstones: quest item ones that can upgrade a region and can't be traded between players, and unique Ivory Watchstones that provide special bonuses and can be traded. These unique ones are consumed after a number of maps are run.
So we already have
The
those.
the Atlas
These are new.
expansion introduces 3 new types of craftable Watchstones: titanium, chromium, and platinum. Like regular Watchstones, these never expire, but unlike regular Watchstones, they can be traded and crafted. They are found quite late in your progression through the Atlas. The eventual goal is that you replace all of your base quest item Watchstones with the new craftable ones over time as you upgrade your Atlas.
That's sick.
Each of these 3 types of new Watchstone has its own special mod pool, but
Yo, chat, who wants to bet there's going to be a stash tab for these things? I bet you $10 Renos there's going to be a stash tab for these things.
there's also a shared mod pool that they all draw from. Like flasks, they can only be normal or magic. You can't find or craft rare Watchstones. Because you can have it before Watchstones socketed in a region, up to 8 mods can affect that region, and some quite large bonuses to specific content can be stacked.
Have a white socket. So it looks kind of like the heist stuff, how you could roll trinkets, almost.
When combined with the Atlas passive trees, these really allow you to optimize what content you encounter and the rewards from that content.
Lots of min-maxing, boys.
Is an endgame crafting currency item that can only drop from the Maven herself. It allows you to craft influence modifiers when 2 or more are present on an item by removing one modifier and upgrading another. When upgrading an influence modifier of the current highest tier, it upgrades to a new elevated tier that can have additional properties.
What?
This Foul Regalia has 2 Crusader influence modifiers on it, the percentage increased intelligence one and the physical damage taken as lightning damage one.
Right.
When we apply a Maven's Orb to it, it randomly removes one of these mods and upgrades the other one to become an elevated influence mod. In this case, it upgraded the increased intelligence mod to also have +1 to the level of socketed intelligence gems. The other influence mod was removed. This opens up a mod slot, of course, so it's now possible to add another mod to it. Let's YOLO exalt it for good measure. Maven's Orb crafting is only going to be performed by the upper echelons of elite players, and pushes the boundaries of the best
I
items
wonder how
that are
expensive
possible.
they're probably going to be expensive, for sure.
One of the things that players look forward to in an endgame Path of Exile expansion is new maps to play. In Echoes of the Atlas, we have added 11 new types of maps to the Atlas of Worlds, covering a wide variety of environments. And of course, each comes with its own challenging boss fight. Let's have a look at 4 of these new tile sets.
Gimme. Nice little desert zone with a creepy looking frogman. This one's pretty sick. I like how you were zoomed out there. Maybe it's not all zoomed out though. Little boss fight with some toxic rain. Ow! Almost died. Some little split arrow chain. For some reason he has it on his bar 3 times.
These new maps look so good is that the environment art tile set and level design teams working on them have been doing so much work on Path of Exile 2 recently.
Ooh.
It's not just the 4
I was gonna say that looked like top notch right there. That looked like some really good map design.
maps that we showed you here. There are 7 other new maps with their own bosses to discover in-game in this expansion.
What is that? I'm not gonna go back. What the hell is that thing? It's like a melee skill.
League. These are essentially a fresh server to play on for that expansion launch, where players explore the new league mechanics, rush to conquer the new economy, race to level 100, and try to get the best items before their friends. The Challenge League being released alongside Echoes of the Atlas is the Ritual League. In the Ritual League, you'll discover several mysterious altars in each area you explore. Slay the monsters at the ritual site and then activate the altar to initiate the ritual.
Like Beyond, I guess?
You'll be enclosed within the ritual circle and will have to face off
A
against
reverse
both the
Beyond?
onslaught of monsters you've just slain and also the specific powers
Wow.
of that altar. Each subsequent
That
ritual in
looks
the
sick.
area will summon all the monsters from the previous ones, so the difficulty and reward ramp up as you challenge yourself with each successive ritual.
Sick.
Monsters you kill after you have activated a ritual grant you points called Tribute.
I can already tell one thing though, right? So maps that are tiny, I wonder how that's going to affect it, right? Because look how big that is right there. That's like a giant circle. I wonder if you have a map with like an indoor map or something. That might suck, right? So we'll have to figure that out.
At the end of each ritual, you'll have an
Like
opportunity to
Beyond.
spend this tribute on various reward items. These items vary greatly in power and cost, so you may find you can afford several cheaper ones or one
It's like a Parandus on steroids, I guess.
more valuable one. For clarity, tribute doesn't transfer between game areas.
So not like
As you
Parandus
complete
in that way.
subsequent rituals in the same area, more potential rewards will be revealed, which can be very expensive. If you can't afford to purchase a reward outright,
Give me that
you can
headhunter.
spend a portion of its cost to defer it until later.
Oh,
This
whoa.
means that it will show up in a later area
That's sick.
at a reduced price. Items can be deferred multiple times until you can eventually afford them, and for some of the most valuable rewards in the
I wonder if
sleeve,
you can
this may be
defer.
the easiest way to obtain them.
Yeah. Defer headhunter like
You can also
2,000
spend some
times.
tribute to re-roll the contents of the reward screen one time per instance if you'd like a new set of reward items to choose from.
Okay.
Among the many other rewards you can choose from in Ritual are a special new set of Ritual base types. These are craftable items that have different
I see
implicit
one right there,
modifiers
yeah.
than Path of Exile's regular.
Exerted attacks, war crime. Okay, so just some
base
random
types.
skill type stuff that we've seen
Specifically,
before,
they
it
have a
looks
strong
like.
upside combined with an accompanying downside. If you
Downside?
can create a build that
Oh,
mitigates
okay.
the
Yep,
drawback,
yep.
then you can take advantage of the power of these items and craft them into something amazing. For example, these Nexus gloves reduce your maximum mana, but have a chance of immediately refunding the mana spent to use a skill. If you can work around this restriction to your mana
Doesn't
pool,
Trickster do
you can
something like that?
periodically use skills for essentially
reduce
no
mana, but
cost.
The
Here are
positive
two other
there.
examples of ritual base types.
Yo,
the
that
Penitent
helmet
Mask
looks
and the
sick.
Storm Rider boots. The Penitent Mask applies the Crush debuff to you, removing your physical damage protection. However, its upside is that it increases the effect of Fortify on you by quite a lot, reducing the damage you take from hits. There are many situations where this is a huge win,
Requires level 75, requires level 80. Pretty in-game items.
such as if you already have no armor or endurance charges. The Storm Rider boots reduce your accuracy rating but provide a huge added lightning damage boost to your attacks based on your accuracy rating. If you have other sources of accuracy to rely on, then this is potentially a huge increase to the lightning damage you deal. In the end game, you can obtain
Who is that? Juggernaut that gets a bunch of accuracy rating? You don't usually go like elemental damage on that, but that might be interesting to look at. Just because you get so much accuracy rating. I think it's Juggernaut, right?
ritual vessels, which allow you to itemize the monsters from a ritual. You can place up to 4 vessels in the map device alongside a map to add the monsters stored in those vessels to the rituals present in the map. This increases both the difficulty and rewards of the rituals, as well as generating even more tribute to spend on those rewards.
Okay. It's kind of like how you used to do sacrifice fragments. Maybe you do this now instead.
For example, because there's a chance of encountering a Headhunter or Mirror of Kalandra as rewards,
Yeah, boy.
using ritual vessels increases the chances you'll be offered those items and allows you to afford them.
Okay,
In
okay.
addition, you can
So
use
you
these
definitely want
vessels
to be doing
to
those.
substantially increase monster density and maxed out maps that have mechanics like Beyond or Delirium present.
Very good.
Using vessels, you have control over the risk and reward of your hardest ritual encounters. Vessels are tradable both.
Oh, hold on. We gotta go back. Okay, let's look. Legion is the last one. Oh no, I'm not seeing Delirium. Team, is this the end? There's definitely not going to be Delirium then, right? Beyond and Legion. So no Delirium, unless you can do it through the Atlas. No Delirium. Interesting. Beyond is very good, very good on that one. Apprentice poop, right? Nobody uses that. Legion, depending on the price for that, might be decent, but a lot of builds it's not good for, especially our Golem bros. Not good for Legion, but I don't know if Golem bros are going to survive.
You have control over the risk and reward
So
of your hardest ritual encounters. Vessels are tradable both before and
No
after
Delirium.
they contain monsters.
Ripperoni.
In addition to the new endgame content in the Ritual Challenge League, a large focus of the Echoes of the Atlas expansion is on its Ascendancy classes. Path of Exile has 19 Ascendancy classes, which let you specialize your character further than the base
It's
character
my least
classes
favorite
allow.
room right there. The
To unlock your
Labyrinth.
Ascendancy class, you must find the Altar of Ascendancy at the end of the Lord's Labyrinth.
Lame.
In this expansion, we've rebalanced every one of these 19 classes and have significantly reworked 3 of them. the Elementalist, the Inquisitor, and the Deadeye.
Yeah,
The aim of these
Elementalist.
changes is to redistribute and simplify power so that Ascendancy passive skills perform stronger single functions more effectively. Let's check some of them out.
Yeah, let's.
The Elementalist has always been a good general Ascendancy class for many elemental builds, but lacked really in-depth build options. Now you can pick which
Oh, that's
elemental
looking
elements
sick
to
right
use
there.
for greater build customization, as well as providing more consistent power against
That's like an
tougher
Ignite
enemies.
build.
The Elementalists can also protect themselves from a large amount of elemental damage. Bastion
Okay,
of
so
Elements
maybe he'll go
provides
through
a
these.
significant defensive shield against elemental damage, which can be further improved by allocating more skills on your passive tree and Ascendancy tree.
Okay.
The Liege of the Primordial and Elemental skills
Okay,
focus
so there's
on
golems.
golem builds. Taking Liege of the Primordial now means that your golems are automatically resummoned 4 seconds after they die. To make your golems immune to
that's
elemental
sick.
damage, you'll now need to spec into Elemental as well as Liege of the Primordial.
Okay, so you're still getting +2 right there. You got a +1 right there, Legion Primordial, and another +1. So you're still getting +2 to golems. Golems immune to elemental. So we're still getting 100% ailment immunity. So those are the same. No changes there, actually. Interesting.
Previously, the Shaper of Desolation
Yikes.
skill forced you to improve both shocking
good
and
for
chilling,
us.
even if you didn't use both. We've now moved these benefits into their own branches, culminating in the Shaper of Flames, Winter, and Storm skills.
And okay, so gotcha. Your hits always ignite. Whatever, more damage with ignite you inflict with hits. Yo, that is sick. What the hell? Basically, always ignite, always chill, always shock. More effect. More is huge, boys. More is huge. That's gonna be really good. I'm calling
allowing you
it.
to pick which ailments you improve.
Especially for
You
ignite
can use
builds.
and enhance Ignite, Chill, and Shock on any build. Mastermind of Discord
On
no longer
any build,
focuses on
too.
heralds and allows you to strip all elemental resistances from your enemies effectively. Pendulum of Destruction has been reworked as Heart of Destruction, providing more elemental damage or area of effect when you need them most.
So what I wonder what you would do as a Golemancer, right? I mean, I guess you do that. When you hit it and create, that's kind of whatever, to be honest. I guess you wouldn't be able to do that on a Golemancer, right? You get the 2 golems and you get the Aegis, Shield Aegis right here. So that's pretty good. And then I guess you get whatever this is. Kind of like what it was for.
The Inquisitor has derived much of its power from its Inevitable Judgment skill, but the rest of the tree was fairly straightforward and lacked anything truly
The
unique.
new MTX or old?
After our
Looks
changes
sick.
in this expansion, many more of the Inquisitor skills provide significantly more offensive or defensive power, while Instruments of Zeal opens up an entirely new and very unique playstyle.
Blade Blast?
Let's have a look at some of the new Inquisitor Ascendancy skills.
Yes, please.
Highest Path no longer affects attack and cast speed. It now allows you to double the potential recovery of life regeneration by having it apply equally to Energy Shield. Sanctuary no longer provides mana, but now has a larger damage bonus from Consecrated Ground, up from 10% to 15%.
15%
Righteous
more
Providence
damage.
has
That's
been
pretty big.
simplified a lot. It still focuses on critical
So like that plus a Bottled Faith, like 25%
strike
more
chance,
damage.
but it now scales it up by a percentage equivalent to either your strength or intelligence value, whichever one is lowest. It also provides plus 50 to both of these attributes, which is a huge benefit in multiple ways. You will definitely want lots of both attributes. Instruments of Virtue has been
Yo.
simplified and made more powerful.
Interesting.
Its benefits no longer strictly apply if you've cast a spell or attacked recently, but it now grants 10% more attack damage for each non-instant spell you've cast recently, up to a maximum of 30%. It also grants Battle Mage, which causes you to gain added spell damage equal to the damage of your main hand weapon. This provides a lot of new hybrid spellcast and melee build possibilities.
Huh. They say that, but does that really
You can
mean that's
combine
going to happen?
Instruments of
We'll see
Virtue
about
with
that.
the new Instruments of Zeal Ascendancy
It's hard to
passive.
balance.
This introduces the concept of fanaticism, which causes spells you cast yourself to have 75% more cast speed, reduced mana cost, and increased area of effect. Fanaticism is gained by using attacks regularly, giving huge bonuses for weaving attacking and spellcasting
that's pretty cool.
together.
If we can do something, that's pretty sick.
Historically, the Deadeye Ascendancy was the best place to find a variety of strong projectiles.
Especially maybe like even like a, what the heck is that build? Oh no, I don't know what it's called. It's not Elemental Hit. It's the other one that you shoot out lightning bolts, the magma orbs, and also the freezing pulse. And that melee skill, I wonder if you can do some cool stuff with that.
Based effects.
And then attack,
Over
you know,
time,
as
more
a
of these
spell.
effects have shown up on items, and the Deadeye has lost much of what made it unique. We've brought the uniqueness back to this Ascendancy with a variety of new mechanics that enable new ways to build and play Rangers. Let's have a look at the new Deadeye Ascendancy skills. Far Shot now deals 60% more damage to enemies far away from you, which is up from 30% before.
Yeah, it's huge.
But now also deals 20% less damage to enemies that are close. It no longer has a projectile speed bonus, but now removes the spread from your barrages. This additional damage rewards Deadeyes who can keep their distance from their targets.
Yeah, dude, that's sick.
Ricochet caused your projectiles to chain an additional time and granted 10% more damage for each remaining chain. The new Ricochet allows your projectiles to both chain an additional time and have a chance to chain off walls and terrain.
That's sick too.
Endless Munitions has been simplified to offer 2 additional projectiles rather than 1 additional projectile and some other minor bonuses. This skill is accessible behind 3 of the Deadeye's paths, making it an option for many different Deadeye builds.
All over the place here.
Occupying Force is a new skill that benefits Mirage Archers by granting you additional ones and allowing them to be separate from you.
It's interesting.
Gathering Winds now always grants Tailwind to permanently boost your speed, and the increase to Tailwind effect per skill used is now given by the Gale Force buff. Wind Ward enhances the Gathering Winds passive by making Gale Force a lot more effective, with the drawback of losing all Gale Force if you're hit. If you can stay out of the fray, this potentially makes your character even more potent.
There's some sick stuff in here.
Helped Critical Strike bleed builds. It's been renamed to Rupture Ring and has been simplified while being made more powerful. Critical strikes that inflict bleeding now also inflict Rupture, which causes bleeding enemies to lose more life, but their bleed expires more quickly.
That's
Focal
big
Point
damage.
is a new skill which improves the effect of mark skills that were made more powerful in our recent heist expansion. It increases the
Marks
effect of
are
your marks
huge.
by 75% and makes surrounding enemies deal less damage to you.
Wow. Okay, so marks are huge. I think marks, a lot of people do not use marks in their builds right now, but it is so much damage. It's hard to fit them into builds sometimes, and that's understandable, which I think that's why a lot of people don't use marks, but that's insane. So like Sniper's Mark, it's so much damage, and now it's 75% increased of Sniper's Mark. That's actually pretty insane for bosses, right? So this might be pretty big for bossing. It might. I wonder if that's going to make it a good bosser. Less damage taken from other enemies. Huh.
As you
Interesting.
have seen, the Elementalist, Inquisitor, and Deadeye have undergone some major changes in this expansion. We have also improved the other 16 Ascendancy classes and will show you some of the changes to the Slayer to demonstrate what you can expect. Some Slayer effects were much stronger than others, limiting build choice. We've now provided more power spread out over a wider selection of passives, while allowing easier access to the Slayer's special leech mechanic. Brutal Fervor and Endless Hunger have switched places on their Ascendancy branch so that Life Leech is more accessible and can be further improved by speccing into Endless Hunger. Masterful Form still causes you to have endurance charges equal to the number of frenzy charges you have, but now grants an additional frenzy charge instead of increasing endurance and frenzy charge duration.
Let's take a look at this real quick. So your maximum endurance charge is equal to your maximum frenzy, plus 1 to maximum frenzy. So we have a build. I'm going to do a build guide for this using this node specifically. So we're actually getting a buff on this build. I'm going to do a league starter. I guess not. I mean, you can do a league starter, I guess, for plus 1 to maximum frenzy. Your maximum endurance charge is equal to your maximum frenzy. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so Slayer Discharge, boys, it's actually insane. I was getting 25 million Shaper Ignite DPS with my build using this, and granted, replicas, Feral's Fur. When it first came out, I think Matho did a build on it, and it jumped in price, but when I bought mine, I bought it for like 1 Exalt back when Heist started. They went up a lot, and they went back down to maybe like 3 to 5, somewhere there. So that's not too bad, right? For a league starter as an in-game item, and everything else in the build was like absolutely incredibly cheap, under 5 chaos, and I was doing 25 million Shaper DPS. So this is actually, we'll keep watching here, but they didn't change that, so I'm happy because we are going to be doing a build on that.
Critical strike chance for attacks with weapons has been increased. Hopefully you now have a good idea of the scope of changes that we have made to the 19 Ascendancy classes.
Overkill leashes life, yeah. I'm just kind of reading these here. killed recently. The leech change is pretty good too. Okay, cool. So that's viable.
While the biggest
So I'm pretty
changes to the
excited
three
about
were
that.
heavily revamping
Oh, they're
the
letting us see all of
Elementalist,
them here.
Inquisitor, and Deadeye, all of the others have received at least numeric attention
Ooh,
also.
they're letting us
We
see all
believe
of
that
them.
the new design philosophy for Ascendancy passives makes them easier to...
Okay, so I know a lot of you guys are Golem bros, right? So I think a lot of the Golem changes are going to come in the gems themselves. The aura stacking changes that I'm thinking will come, but it looks like the actual Ascendancy is not changing. If anything, we're getting some good, better stuff. We're going to buff via Ascendancy. You go Elementor, you go Legion Primordial, you go Bastion of Elements with the Aegis. When out, yeah, level 20 Primal Aegis. So that's good. I don't think you wouldn't do any of these Shaper of whatever stuff. The exposure, yeah, see, none of these. I don't think you really do any of these. It's just these 3 points. So either way, still a buff for the Elementalist for Golems. So that's good.
understand, and that they are a more concentrated source of power.
Which is the life
We look
version,
forward
by
to
the way.
revealing the rest of the changes next week.
The life version of Golems.
Like with improving
Oh
Ascendancy
no, they didn't show us
adding
Necro.
new skill and support gems
Feels
to
bad.
Path of Exile helps create new ways to play. In Echoes of the Atlas, we've introduced 2 new gems that provide versatile ways for you
I wonder
to
if that
build
means that they're
powerful
gonna
new characters.
Ripperoni
These
it.
are the Hydrosphere skill gem and the Trinity support gem. First, let's have a look at Hydrosphere. The skill summons a huge sphere of water that you can move around to crush enemies.
It's pretty
While
sick.
it is active, you can apply cold or lightning ailments to it. It will then pulse for a duration, afflicting nearby enemies with damage matching that ailment. This player is applying freeze to the Hydrosphere with freezing pulse, and that causes it to repeatedly damage surrounding enemies with cold damage.
Interesting.
Here's the gem hover for Hydrosphere. The skill gem can be acquired from level 34 and can be supported with spell, area of effect, duration, cold, orb, lightning, and physical support gems.
Huh.
It pulses every 0.4 seconds while an ailment is applied to it. It also converts its physical damage to cold or lightning damage based on what ailments are on it.
It's gonna be really good for the
Trinity's-
it's gonna be really good for the Elementalist, I think, with all of those new all hits can apply, you know, freeze, I'm sorry, chill, ignite, and shock. I
Support
think
gem
that's
is
gonna be
designed
pretty
to
good.
support builds that deal multiple types of elemental damage.
Yep.
While Trinity supports your skill, any hits that deal damage with a specific element will build resonance with the other 2 elements. The more resonance you have of every element, the more damage the Trinity support gem provides. When you have high resonance with all 3 elements, Trinity also grants elemental penetration.
It's pretty
Here you
sick.
can see the player using Ball Lightning with Unleash and Magma Orb to build resonance.
That might be really good for. Never mind. What I just said was stupid.
To power up
My
the Trinity
brain
support gem quickly
malfunctioned.
and uniformly, the player alternates
Disregard.
between pairs of elemental damage types. Combined with the elemental weakness curse, the maximum resonance Trinity absolutely decimates enemies. In addition to introducing
Maybe.
the 2 entirely
I'll
new
say it.
gems
Maybe. We would need to go back and look at it real quick, but I'm curious if
you can see
that.
the player using Ball Lightning with Unleash and Magma Orb to
I'm curious if that would be good for something like Elemental Hit, right? Because you're doing damage from all 3 sources, potentially, right? So that might be really good for a lot of penetration.
build resonance across all 3 elements. To power up the Trinity support gem quickly and uniformly, the player alternates between pairs of elemental damage types. Combined with the elemental weakness curse, the maximum resonance Trinity absolutely decimates enemies. In addition
It's good
to
in theory,
introducing
but
the 2 entirely
in
new
practice
gems we
it's kind of
described,
weird.
We've done an extensive balance pass on other skills. We have buffed over 40 existing gems, including skills such as Scorching Ray, Seismic
Yeah.
Trap, Firestorm,
Seismic
Venom Gyre,
Trap.
Static Strike,
Firestorm.
Kinetic Bolt, Crackling Lance, Lightning Strike, Shrapnel Ballista, and Artillery Ballista. Full details will be available in the patch notes next week.
Lots
so
of
that you can
buffs.
plan your perfect
Elementalist
build.
is going to be hype.
As well as introducing and rebalancing skills, another important aspect of keeping the metagame fresh in a Path of Exile expansion is adding new unique items to discover and build characters around. Unlike most items you find in Path of Exile that are randomly generated, unique items are extremely rare ones that our design team have hand-created to offer
Extremely
new
rare.
build opportunities.
So rare.
Echoes of the Atlas introduces 10 new unique items, some
Okay.
of which are exclusive to its new endgame encounters. Let's have a look at a few.
10's kind. I feel like 10's low.
These are some unique worm scale boots called Legacy of Fury. They place scorched ground as you travel, which applies the scorch element to enemies standing in it.
Pretty good.
When
Scorch is
scorched
solid.
enemies die, they have a chance to set fire to surrounding enemies, dealing a percentage of the slain enemy's life
Oh
over
yikes,
time.
that looks bad.
These boots create an interesting and new way to support your build with fire damage.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
This is a new unique amethyst ring called Black Flame, which is themed around fire and chaos damage. Its headline effect is that your ignites now deal chaos damage, along with a cool
Okay,
new
here
chaos
we go.
ignited effect on monsters. Also, if you ignite a withered enemy while wearing Black Flame, the wither will no longer expire, and you can build up to its maximum
Whoa,
of 15
dude.
stacks. If the enemy survives long enough, that is.
There we go. That's going to be a nutty build. I'll do something with this. Because I'm really looking forward to doing poison builds. And I was thinking about how you could do a fire poison build, because you can by converting. I mean, this just makes it easier. Ignites applying does it say poison, or does it just say you chaos damage instead of fire from ignites? Ignites deal, so it just ignites deal chaos damage. It's not saying anything about poison, but the withered is pretty good. That does help poison. And then you can also make your fire damage poison. I think it's via gloves, maybe. And then that could be really cool with self poison builds, because self poison builds are very good early league. If you're self-poisoning yourself, early to mid-league, I would say. They're very strong with very low investment, and Ignite builds are already very strong for map clearing. So I bet this could be pretty cool for a build that does like Ignite damage and then you poison as well. Could be pretty cool.
Along with its various other benefits, this unique ring should ignite a few new ways of playing fire and chaos damage characters. These new zealot gloves are called Hand of the Fervent and create an interesting interaction between physical damage and the mana cost of skills. The unique ability of these gloves happens whenever you use a skill. They grant an effect called Sacrificial Zeal, which both adds a quarter of the skill's mana cost as spell physical damage, but also hurts you to the tune of 150% of the skill's mana cost over 4 seconds. They also reduce your enemy's physical damage reduction.
That could be very
cool. When we have time during the expansion's development, we try to identify past
some
leagues
loot
that
damage
can be
loop
integrated
stuff
into the core game as optional side content with a few improvements. This expansion contains 2 such leagues. Last year, we released the Harvest League, which allowed you to grow a garden of monsters, fight them, and then use their lifeblood to craft your items in powerful ways. Watching this league unfold made us realize 2 things.
Firstly, it was OP.
The crafting options were so powerful and so easily accessible that players had unprecedented access to almost everything they wanted very quickly.
You think?
Secondly, even the players who did enjoy the mechanics of growing their own garden would probably find it boring if that was something they had to do every single league. When deciding how to integrate Harvest into the core game, we knew that we had to curtail crafting somehow, but we didn't want to just do this by nerfing it a lot. We needed a smarter solution that still allowed players to earn and perform powerful crafts. We also knew that we didn't want players to have to grow and manage their own gardens every league. So let's check out our Harvest works as part of the core game in Echoes of the Atlas.
I was so confused. It's Ziggy.
In Echoes of the Atlas,
I thought it was my Discord voice. It was Ziggy.
You now encounter a portal to the Sacred Grove.
We're good.
But it's not
I thought I was invaded.
Grove. It's an established one that has a full complement of plants ready to harvest, fight, and craft with. The grove contains several pairs of harvests to choose between, each displaying the details of the fight and the corresponding crafting options.
Okay.
You can only pick one of each pair, so carefully choose which crafting options are best for you, defeat the monsters, and use their life force to perform the crafts.
A little bit easier to manage, I think. Maybe some less micromanaging there.
Monsters, each grove represents quite a lot of crafting opportunities, and you can save up to 10 crafts for later use at the Hoarder crafting station, which is now available in your hideout.
Only up to 10?
We like this compromise because it keeps the exciting elements of harvest, fighting, and crafting, and drops the part that got old quickly, seed management and garden planning.
Yeah, that got old. Both of those got old. I like it. I like the changes. Interesting.
Into the core game as optional content with a few improvements.
It's interesting because you can only, I think you can only store 10 based off what he said. So that is interesting. I do like the fact that we're not having to deal with all the seed management and the planting. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that tentatively that sounds like some good changes. We'll see. We'll see. Heist.
In Heist, players travel to the Rogue Harbor to hire a crew of thieves to help them plan and execute risky heists, working towards a thief's ultimate goal, pulling off a grand heist. In the Echoes of the Atlas expansion, heist contracts drop from Act 6 onwards. Rogues level up their skills faster from completing heists, markers drop with higher stack sizes, and quest contracts are now dropped for you at the next smuggler's cache as soon as that quest is available. One great aspect of heists is that all of its progress items are tradable, so if you're focusing on other content, you can trade away your contracts until you're ready to go on some heists.
Sure, I guess.
So we've covered most of the big features of
dudes, that was like no information on heist right there.
Echoes of the Atlas so far. Keep an eye out for the patch
that basically said nothing,
where we will detail other changes that didn't make it into this presentation. Soon we'll move on to the Q&A about today's announcements. But first, let's have a quick look at the new supporter packs that are available right now to celebrate the Echoes of the Atlas expansion and the Ritual Challenge League.
What we got, dudes?
The ongoing development of Path of Exile.
Yo, in the comments, tell me, what are you guys gonna get? Are you gonna get nothing? Are you gonna hold off, or are you gonna come on hard and get one? Ooh, that one looks pretty sick.
And of course,
I like the ones with swords on their backs,
such as armor sets and character effects.
The
Renegade series has an exclusive
weird and
pet,
bulky
and
on
the
the back.
Faithsworn series an exclusive portal effect. Each series has 2 packs, and the
That's
smaller
pretty
packs
sick.
can be upgraded to their respective larger packs at any time while they are still on sale. These are, of course, in addition to the new core packs that we released a couple of weeks ago.
What are you guys getting? What do you guys like the best? Maybe if you're not getting it, what do you like the best for these new packs?
Thanks so much for your support. As you know, purchases of these packs are what fund ongoing development of Path of Exile.
I got you, Chris. I got you, brother.
Speaking of Path of Exile 2, we know you're keen for an update.
Yep.
While today is all about Path of Exile and Echoes of the Atlas, we have plenty of Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile mobile updates planned for you this year, which will start sooner than you think. Our team have been creating some amazing stuff, and we can't wait to reveal it to you.
Very nice.
So, I'm sure you have a bunch of burning questions about Echoes.
We do. But that is a ginormous stream, so we're gonna pass on that. So let's kind of go over what we remember from the stream here, dudes. One, I think the big thing was that Elementalist didn't get changed, which I thought was gonna get changed. The golems wise, it's actually a buff to golems in that fact, in the Ascendancy, with the extra damage reduction buff. I think they're gonna get with the Aegis, so that's pretty cool. Obviously nothing about skills or numeric values of skills like carrying golems or anything like that, so we'll have to wait on patch notes for that, of course. I have a feeling that it's going to get nerfed. Good thing though is I have a couple tricks up my sleeve with some builds coming out where we're going to be able to get around those and still have some pretty strong builds, so definitely stay tuned for some of these builds. Overall, I mean, it looked super good. I'm super hyped, obviously, about like the in-game stuff. With the Atlas, that looks pretty sick. The being able to craft the Watchstones themselves, and then also being able to kind of do the skill trees within your zones here, and choosing kind of what type of content you want to do. I definitely like that. There's obviously going to be some meta stuff going on as far as, you know, some zones are better than others, right? Some zones have different maps in them where, you know, that are better maps than other zones, whereas, and I don't know for specifically, right, but maybe like Proxima has crappy maps, right? Maybe they just have tier 16, 15, and 14. They just don't have any good maps, but then it's got like the best like Delirium or something like that, right? And then you're kind of screwed because you don't have that good of maps. So we're gonna have to definitely come back and see about that, and hope that we get some good maps on a good, I guess, skill tree, that we can get some pretty good stuff. Like, right, everybody was doing Tropical Island Delirium farming, right? So now Delirium is not on the Xana mod, so you can't pay 16 chaos for Delirium anymore. The biggest one I saw was Legion, which hopefully isn't 16 chaos. That would be insane. And below that was Beyond. So no more Delirium farming that way specifically. Maybe you can do Delirium via the Atlas skill tree. I'm hoping that you can, so we'll have to see that. If you can, that would be sick with the Beyond on the Xana mod. That would be super sick. But we'll just have to come back and see, because right now we obviously we don't know. I think that's probably what I'm looking forward to most. The new maps look pretty sick. Some of those new skills look sick. I think Elementalist is going to be the new hotness. It definitely sounds like some of those new skills. It sounds like the changes they made within Elementalist seem pretty sick. and some of those do support gems. They all go really well with Elementalist, so we'll have to see about that. I was planning on a Fireball Ignite Trickster League starter for you guys. I was going to come out with a video on that. I'm curious if maybe we get patch notes. Maybe it'll be an Elementalist. Maybe I'll do both. Elementalist is always still very good for Ignite Fireball builds, but it usually doesn't have as good of defenses as Trickster comes with. So, and I still think it might not have as good of defenses, depending on how good that Aegis is, the physical Aegis spell that I saw in Elementalist. But yeah, overall, it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. I'm pretty excited to see the next steps. I definitely want patch notes. And I guess just a real quick preview for you guys. My schedule basically will be, I'm going to be making tons of guides. I think what do I have? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 League starter guides coming out for you guys that hopefully will be ready by patch note day. And then depending on patch notes, right, if something big changes, then I will obviously halt on that video, do the changes to the build, re-record some things, and update the build, and then get all of those out hopefully by either Wednesday night, Thursday. I guess it depends on when patch notes come out, but the night that patch notes come out or the day after, expect a ton of League start build guides, leveling guides, all that good stuff within the next week. I also have a couple tips and tricks videos coming out for newer players and also some veteran players. So I have 2 of those coming out. So lots of content coming up. I hope you guys are as excited as I am for the new league, which comes out next Friday on the 15th. I will absolutely be playing the whole weekend, probably 24/7 each day, and pretty significantly for a good month and a half, and I'll be streaming all of it. 100% of the content will be streamed. So if you guys are interested in coming and hanging out on my Twitch, it's twitch.tv/vonvicton_. So come in, hang out with us, ask questions away. Let's I think probably I will stream also on patch notes day for a good probably 6-7 hours that night. We'll kind of go over builds as a team. You guys can come in, ask, hey, do you think this build seems good? We'll do a whole bunch of path of building together. We'll come up with some builds, and maybe some of those will get featured on the channel as well. So overall, super excited. I'm happy I was able to do this and do a reaction vid. I hope you guys did enjoy it. I also hope that I've never done one of these, so I hope the sound was okay. I'm hoping that it wasn't too loud. If it was too loud, guys, definitely let me know so I can fix that in the future for you guys. And I think that's all I got for this one. So I will catch y'all on the next one, guys. Have a good one. See y'all on the next one.